A lot of characters have flaws. That's all good, but sometimes they take it too far. Welcome to the Attic Dungeon. My name is Sam, and whether you want to be a kleptomaniac or you're too afraid to fight, I'm here to help you with everything. Huzzah! Another Attic Dungeon episode about role-playing. Good times are right around the corner. But first, a few service announcements. First off, thank you for watching me. As always, I feel the explicit need to express my gratitude to my audience. Wonderful that people are actually still commenting on certain videos, that they're handy, that they're helping them. For a very small-time YouTuber such as myself, that's where I get that warm, fuzzy feeling from. So thank you. Then, second actual service announcement. Starting July, I will be running a series of one-shots in my local game shop in Vilvoorde in Nerdscape, together with other Dungeon Masters. I wrote the one-shots and we're taking turns running them. Ideally, if you play all of them, you'll be going from level 1 to level 20 in 20 sessions. Very simple. It's called the Road to Level 20. They're actually very fun. Obviously, I say that because I wrote them myself. But if you want to play, join us. Feel free to register. I'll dump a link somewhere down below so that you can actually join us if you want to. And public service announcements. Enter the full Attic Dungeon experience. Yes, so we're talking role-playing your flaws today. And there's a few things that I want to talk about. The first thing is going to be something based on an earlier video that I did. And that is maybe when I talk about choosing your flaw. You don't have to pick a flaw based on your ability scores. Obviously, I mean, it makes sense that you could play a person with a gambling problem, and a gambling problem is maybe not necessarily based on an ability score. You could say low intelligence gives a higher probability of getting addicted, or lower wisdom, but that's, I mean, meh. But I'm talking about playing the stupid guy, the smart guy, the clumsy guy, the weak guy. So like those obvious flaws that are tied to your ability score. Now, of course, it's a bit weird to roleplay a weak barbarian since you are going to be that string-based character. But maybe you don't have to play the dumb barbarian, even though your intelligence score is not even a 12 or a 14 or whatever. Maybe not even a 10. I've talked about this before, but the way the ability score system works in Dungeons and Dragons is that the class really decides how your stats are going to be divided. If you're playing a paladin, you will want to focus on strength, constitution, and charisma at the cost of dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom. That doesn't mean that every paladin is stupid, unwise, and clumsy. They just don't perform well in specific tasks attached to those ability scores. But if you want to play the smart barbarian, go for it. You don't have to be dumb. Pick a completely different flaw for them. Maybe they have a gambling problem. There we are. I love the gambling. I really like the gambling problem part for some reason. So don't feel the need to play your ability score, your weak ability scores all the time. You don't have to be dumb because you're a barbarian. You don't have to be weak because you're a wizard. Period. So there's that. That's a very short part 1. Part 2 is going to be about how and when you roleplay your flaws. There are certain types of flaws that are going to become very tedious if you over-manifest them. The most classic example would be the... Allow me to slide my microphone a bit closer. Notice that it is a bit far off. Would be the Kleptomaniac Rogue. You know, the rogue who wants to steal everything. So your rogue wants to steal everything. Great, you're going to get kicked in the nads very quickly by a lot of people, including the Dungeon Master, because it becomes very tedious that every time you guys stay at an inn, the rogue tries to break into the room of the other guests and try to steal their stuff, or even steal stuff from the party itself. That becomes really tedious really fast. There are good times when you can do this. And you can do it. You can try to rob somebody because they have displayed an exquisitely expensive item that you would like to acquire. But don't try to rob every poor sap of his 2 coins that he has. Not only are you just doing repetitive, boring gameplay, you're also slowing down the story, hogging the spotlight for something completely useless most of the time, And if you start stealing from your own party, people are going to punch you in the face, possibly in real life, not just your actual rogue. It's the easiest example I can think of. In my intro, I also used fear. It's okay if your character is afraid and doesn't want to fight, but don't run away from every combat. You're going to become a handicap for your party. You're not going to contribute as well as you can, since the since Dungeons and Dragons in general is a bit more combat oriented than some other systems. That would be a real crutch. I'm sure there's other... Oh yeah, the other one, the classic lone wolf character. I've talked about those before a lot. I really don't like those too much. And that's okay. You can start with trust issues. That is great. And I'm going to move seamlessly into my third part here, I think. You can start as your lone wolf character who doesn't trust people, who wants to work alone, who only travels with the party because they're convenient, blah, blah, blah. But if you've been adventuring successfully together for, let's say, 8 levels, and you still don't trust the party, you still want to work alone, they're still just convenient, and why are you still there? Show some character evolution, and that really goes for every flaw. Your character can evolve away from them through successful experiences during the story. Maybe your lone wolf character has really hit it off with the party's cleric because they've helped them in their time of need. Because they're a cleric, that's what they do, obviously. We all know the cleric has a drug problem, but that doesn't matter here. And they've warmed up to 1 or 2 characters in the party. They will actively try to help them themselves. They will not undertake every mission alone, and they will actually listen to advice given by these characters, because there has been an evolution, which is great. I'm not saying that by the end of a campaign run your character should be perfect. They should be flawless, blameless, what have you. No, but they should have evolved somewhat in their flaw. Another way of evolving is, of course, completely derailing. Quite possibly the greedy, grabby rogue gets arrested and is never heard of again. That is also an evolution, but maybe not the type of evolution that you want. Most people want to play their characters for a while in a positive way, and then having a flaw and evolving from the flaw is a pretty cool thing. Personal example, way before we lived in Pandemonium, I played a fighter named Ulfric, and Ulfric had been a farmer. Ulfric had been a guard on the road, guarding trade routes, but Ulfric rarely came into contact with magic at all, and because of reasons ended up in a party where everybody could cast magic except Ulfric. And so he was constantly like in awe and bedazzled by all the things happening around him, while still holding his own. Don't worry, he did a fair amount of dicing and slicing. But there was this one time, the first time he encountered like an elemental being. He was stuck in a fire vortex because there was this fire elemental hovering around him. A more trained magic user might have been, okay, this is a fire elemental, I can do this and that. Ulfric was like, oh damn. He continued fighting. I attacked the fire elemental. I'm pretty sure that eventually I managed to kill him, but I lost a fair chunk of hit points standing in his whirlwind of fire, too afraid to leap through because, you know, magic fire, and Ulfric has 0 magic knowledge. So that's a wonderful example actually of I have a flaw and I display the flaw, but I'm not bogging down the party because of it. I'm still actively partaking in whatever scene we're playing at that point. And Ulfric did become more acquainted with magic as the campaign went on, and near the end he was accustomed to it. He still preferred to just choppy, dicey, but at least he lost part of his fear for certain magical situations because of the party. There you go, positive character evolution. Simple as that. Now, don't get the impression, because I do that always at the beginning of videos, that I'm opposed to like standard class things being your flaw. If you want to be the dumb barbarian, go for it. If you want to be the angry barbarian, go for it. But then kind of specify what really gets you going, what makes you angry, what type of creature, for example, only has to appear to get you foaming at the mouth, because that can be a fun way for the dungeon master to include your flaw in plot hooks. So that's another nice thing about flaws. A good flaw, I think, allows the dungeon master to knit on it. You know, they can attach pieces and bits to it. Maybe a bit of a too literal translation from Dutch there, but they can attach bits and pieces to it to include your flaw in the story and such, make it part of the world, you know, kind of ground your character in the world a bit more. So for the barbarian, there's the obvious rage, but don't forget the best flaw in the world that isn't really a flaw, the Warlock Patron. So the Warlock might be an actual decent guy, apart from the fact that he sold his soul to the devil in exchange for power to do something, but maybe deep down they're a really good guy. But this patron that keeps hovering above you and demanding stuff of your Warlock and the party maybe even, can be a really fun flaw to play with as well. So don't hesitate to take those traditional class concepts and make them a vital part of your character, even if they are your flaws. But again, think of it in a way that you don't destroy the party. There we are. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you want to play a character with a big flaw, there's something really wrong with your character, consider also having a really strong good side, whatever that may be. For example, you have this character with a debilitating gambling problem. You've gotten the party into trouble. You have debt with the local mafia. They have kidnapped you, stolen your gear. Why would the party want to save you? If you've been a total dick to them all the time, they won't want to save you. They have zero reason or incentive other than, oh, there goes our guy with the magic fingers. We'll have to get another guy with magic fingers. Oh, well, this one's gone. On the other side, if the gambling addict with the magic fingers has a wonderful, sincere fondness for the party and tries to help them whenever he can, they might be inclined to go and save him because he was nice to them, he helped them, other than just stabbing something when it ran by, you know, or making it go away with magic. So have a good side and use that good side to connect to the party, so that when you get in trouble because of your bad side, the party is actually inclined to help you. Ain't that nice? So in short, very short, this is one of those Attic Dungeon shorts. I mean, I can't talk 45 minutes about role-playing flaws, you know. When you want to pick your flaw, be aware of what the impact will be on the party. Being a bit lazy won't have an impact. Stealing everything will. Carefully choose how often your flaw will present itself. Is it going to be something that is present all the time, like stealing everything? I really come back to that very often because I have personal frustrations with characters that steal everything. Or is it something that will manifest on occasions? Again, the gambling problem will not manifest itself in the middle of a dungeon usually, unless you have some diabolical bad guy who likes to make you gamble. But it will manifest themselves in cities where there is gambling happening and money to be lost or won. So severity, frequency, have a good side. If you have a bad side, make sure that people care enough about you to want to help you with your bad side. There you go. And make the flaw whatever you want. Don't listen to me because I think that angry barbarians that are dumb are overdone. Just do it if you want to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And there we are. That is everything, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you all again in 2 weeks in the Attic Dungeon.